My name is Kate. What's your name?
Adam.
And would you like me to call you Adam?
Yeah, that's fine.
And what is your pronoun?
He, him.
Okay. And before we start, I just want to go over the consent form. So let's take a look at it. So the first one says, by signing this, you're giving me consent to treat you. So I will be using CBT therapy when we are in session. So that's cognitive behavioral therapy. It works with your mind and your behavior. So I'm working to alter those and to change those with how you view things. So it will help you become better and help you live life to your fullest and how you want to. For the second one, it says you understand the information will stay here in session unless I have to talk to my advisor about something in session, and other than that it will stay between us, nobody else, unless you write on this line if you want, if you have a significant other, if you have a doctor, if your parents, if you want them to know about anything that goes on in this session, you write their name here. And if at any time you do not want them to know any further information, you can tell me and I can scribble out their name so that they won't know anything more. For number 3, I will not tell anybody about what is going on here except for 3 things. The first one is that if you know a suspicion of a child being abused. Do you? Okay. And the second one says if there is evidence of physical abuse of an elder or dependent adult. Do you know anything? Okay. And then if you have any serious physical threat against you or somebody else. So if you think of harming yourself in any way, killing yourself or harming anybody else or killing anybody. Have you ever had those thoughts? Okay. And then if you could you just read 4 through 6 for me? Okay, and do you have any questions?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, and then would you sign the bottom? Perfect. Okay, Adam, so what brought you in here today?
I have crippling anxiety and a little bit of depression.
Okay, so do you know about when this started?
About when I left home and went to college.
Okay, and when was that?
About 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. And where do you go to college?
I go to Life University in Marietta, Georgia.
And where's your family from?
Detroit, Michigan.
Have you always lived with your family?
Up until I moved away to college, yeah.
And are you close with your family?
Pretty close, yeah.
Okay. And so was the move hard?
Yeah, it was really hard. It was the first time I'd ever really been away from anybody for a substantial amount of time.
Okay, so would you say that's what brought the anxiety about?
Yeah, I think that's what kind of started it.
Okay, so what are you studying at college?
I'm going to be a chiropractor.
Okay, do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Well, chiropractors focus on the spine and the health of an overall person. I kind of wanted to be a chiropractor to help people, but I don't like taking medicine of my own kind, so I didn't want to prescribe any kind of medicine to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And the chiropractic philosophy focuses on a lot of fixing the cause of the problem and not just so much relieving symptoms of the problem. And that really, really spoke to me.
Okay, yeah. And how long have you been intrigued in this profession?
I kind of knew I wanted to be a chiropractor when I left to go to Life. That was part of the reason why I chose to go to Life University, was because of their chiropractic program, and then with their fast track into the program through their undergraduate degrees, it just made sense for me to go there.
Okay. And so how are your studies?
Pretty hard.
Okay. How many classes are you taking?
I take about 9 to 13 classes a quarter, and quarters are 10 weeks of in-class instruction and 1 week of exams.
Wow. Yeah. So I bet that does bring about quite a bit of anxiety for you then, huh?
Yeah, there's some days where I can't sleep at night because I can't shut my brain off, or I just have panic attacks because I'll have 5 or 6 exams in one day and I don't always know how to deal with it.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your living situation down in college.
I live in a house with 4 other people in my kind of cohort. It's like the group of people I started with,
Okay.
and we all kind of moved through the program together at the same relative point.
Nice. So did they help you?
Yeah, we all try to help each other as much as we can.
Yeah. And so do you like everybody in the house then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so are they in the same classes as you? I know you said that you're in a cohort.
Some of them are in the same classes. We're all mostly in the same lecture classes, but some of our lab times are different, but it's all the same material.
Okay. And what kind of classes are you taking right now?
Neurological diagnosis, neuroanatomy, peripheral nervous system. I'm taking full spine technique 2. Full spine is one of the 5 major styles of chiropractic. I'm taking a research methods class, a marketing business class. I'm taking a clinical documentation class. I'm taking a public health class, and a couple others that I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a bunch of them. It's kind of hard to keep straight sometimes.
Okay. And so how do you keep all your studies aligned? Like, how are you handling that? Do you journal? Do you keep a schedule? How do you handle all that?
I have like a database planner that I kind of use, and then I have my class schedule on my phone, so it sends me reminders when I gotta be where.
Okay. And does that seem to help?
Yeah. Otherwise, sometimes I'll miss class because I'm working on homework for another class.
Okay. And how do you feel when that happens?
Kind of frustrating because I know I have to be somewhere, but the work is so hard and involves so much of you that sometimes you just kind of lose track of time.
Okay. And so are you frustrated with yourself or with the surroundings?
It's more of like crap, I gotta go frustration. And it's just like that feeling of like, you know, you're kind of forgetting something, but you can't really remember what. So you finish what you're doing, and then when you're done, you remember that you're supposed to be somewhere else. Like that feeling.
Okay. And so what hobbies do you like to do in your spare time?
I like to go hiking. I like to work out. I like to hang out with my friends. And I like to sit outside in the mornings and start my day with some kind of meditation.
Perfect. And what kind of meditation do you do?
Well, I start with some kind of like a movement exercise, and then I move into a breathing exercise like box breathing, Wim Hof, or a third style of breath called 49 breaths. Our old president, Dr. Sid Williams, kind of came up with it. It's a series of 7 deep diaphragmatic breaths, and then you riddle off some affirmations, and then you do 14 breaths, affirmations, 14 affirmations 14, affirmations 14.
Okay.
So it's like 7, 14, 14, 14.
And when did you start that?
I've been doing that series of movement, breath work, and meditation for a couple of months now.
And does it seem to help?
It helps a little bit in the morning. It kind of helps me get my mind where I need to be for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just try to keep that grounded, kind of it's okay mindset throughout the day, but sometimes it's hard.
Okay. And so what do you do with your friends? Is it the people you live with or other people on campus?
A little bit of both. My roommates and I will go out to try a couple different restaurants because we all just moved into a house together in an area that not a lot of us are kind of familiar with. So we go try to check out some of the local restaurants,
Okay.
some of the local shopping kind of stuff. We all enjoy working out and hiking, so we've been going to the gym together, and every now and again we'll take the dogs out and go hiking.
You say dogs. How many dogs are in the house?
There's 4 dogs in the house, yeah.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Are any of them yours?
Nope.
So does each roommate have a dog?
Yeah. No, there's actually 5 dogs, and yes. Three of my roommates each have 1, and the 4th one has 2.
Okay. And do you like dogs?
Yeah.
So do you like them in the house?
I don't mind them. Sometimes they're rambunctious, and it's a little irritating because they're not mine, and there's 5 of them.
Right.
But, I mean, it's not anything that isn't too hard to deal with when they're usually pretty respectful about it. If they leave, they'll ask me if I'm okay watching them. And if I say no, they usually just put them up in their crate, which is kind of helpful. But I don't mind them now.
Okay, so would you say that the dogs kind of don't help with your stress level though?
They don't really have. Sometimes they don't help when I have to get a lot of stuff done. 3 of them are puppies, so they're pretty rambunctious. I think the oldest puppy is 6 months. So they're all pretty new, and then the 2 older ones just kind of keep to themselves, so you don't really see them too often.
Okay, yeah. So 3 puppies in the house could definitely be pretty rambunctious, huh?
Yeah. When I kind of get like it's too much, I either lock myself in my room or I just leave. I don't really know what else to do.
Where do you go when you leave?
Sometimes I just drive around. Sometimes I go to another one of my friend's house. Sometimes I just go for a hike by myself.
Okay, and does that seem to help clear your mind?
Sometimes. I don't always want to do it though.
How come?
Because like usually when they get on my nerves real bad, it's because I gotta study or because I gotta focus on something, and having to get up and leave to go somewhere isn't really kind of helping me get done what I need to get done. It's just getting me away from that environment for a little bit so I can calm down enough to hopefully finish what I can when I get back, assuming it's quieter.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your home life back in Detroit.
I have a sister, a brother, and then both my parents are still married and alive.
Okay. And you mentioned you were close with your family?
Yeah, pretty close to my older brother, pretty close to my sister, a little more closer to my sister than my brother in the last year or so. But my mom gives me a lot of anxiety, so I try not to talk to her. And then my dad is just kind of there for moral support sometimes, and sometimes he just doesn't care to listen.
Okay, so do you think going away to Georgia kind of helped with that?
It helped a little bit, yeah. But it also added onto it in levels, I guess is how I'm going to say that.
You want to describe that a little bit for me?
Like, moving away definitely kind of it helped my parents realize that I'm not just a little kid anymore. I'm going to school to be a doctor.
Right.
So it kind of moved our relationship from more of son father mother relationship to not necessarily peers and friends, but somewhere in the middle of those two. We're working, I feel like it's working more towards the latter, though.
Okay. And you mentioned your mom gives you anxiety sometimes. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that?
My mom's a counselor, or she has a counseling background.
Mm-hmm.
She's dean of students at a community college back home. And sometimes I'll call her and I have to tell her I need my mom and not the dean of students or a counselor, because a lot of times she micromanages and sometimes she gives me advice from a counseling standpoint and not always the standpoint of my mom, which is what I need.
Okay.
And so it always frustrates me and gives me a lot of irritations because sometimes it just makes me aggravated and mad, and other times I just don't know what to do, so I kind of curl back in my shell and nothing ever really gets resolved, which was the point of trying to get a hold of her in the first place.
Have you ever tried telling her these feelings?
Yeah, she doesn't really change anything about it though. Like, I just am more open with, you're giving me a counseling answer and not an answer my mom would give me.
And what does she say when you say that?
Most of the time she doesn't realize she's doing it.
Does she apologize or anything?
Sometimes.
How do you feel when she does that?
It's hard to be mad at her, but I used to get mad, and now it's like hard to get mad because I've started to realize she doesn't even know that she's doing it. It's just, it's not unnerving, but that's the word I want to use. I don't really know how to take it anymore. I'm just kind of used to getting the counseling answer.
Okay. And you mentioned you were close with your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Do you talk to him a lot when you're down in school?
Every now and again. We have like a weird kind of distant best friend relationship. Like, we each know that the other one's there, and we'll talk when the other one needs it, but it's most of the time it's no news is good news kind of a parameter with us.
Okay. And do you like that kind of relationship?
It's okay. Sometimes I wish we could be closer, but he has weird work hours and I'm out, so he goes to bed real early because he has to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work, and then most of the time I'm a night owl up studying, so after like 8-9 o'clock it's radio silence for the two of us, and that's usually when I start to wake back up and hit my second wind because I gotta stay up studying and stuff.
Okay. And how often do you study?
Every day around the clock, pretty much.
If you had to guess, how often a day would you say?
I guess it really depends on my grasp of the material, because where I'm at, a lot of the classes kind of intermingle with information, so understanding part A of subject 1 helps me understand part B of subject 2, and understanding part B of subject 2 allows me to understand completely of what subject 3 is talking about. So I kind of have to be on top of everything. So I I sit in class 30 hours a week, and I probably study close to another 20 to 30.
Okay. Was it overwhelming when you first got in the doc program?
Yeah, it was really, really hard to kind of find a routine and figure out something that semi-worked. And I went from panic attacks about homework and tests 2 or 3 times a week to, after I got somewhat of a routine down, it was only really maybe 1 or 2 when I had like really, really hard tests coming up and I was just nervous.
Okay. And do you want to tell me a little bit about what happens during your panic attacks?
I get really nervous. My palms get really, really sweaty. I start sweating profusely. Shortness of breath. Sometimes I can't breathe at all, and it's just really, really, really hard to calm down.
Okay. And what do you try to do when you calm down, or is that why you came in here today?
It's kind of why I came in.
Okay.
I don't really know what to do anymore.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely work on that. What I like to do at the end of sessions is I like to give the patients a goal. So we're gonna come up with a goal and an objective for you at the end. So if you want to just tell me a little bit more about, like, have you ever gone to a therapist before?
Mm-mm.
And then have you ever been on any antidepressants about?
I'm on a homeopathic antidepressant, but I would prefer not to take any kind of medication.
Right, because you said you don't like medication.
Yeah.
Okay. And how is your finances? I know you have a lot of schoolwork. Do you have a job?
No. Staying in school pretty much pays all my bills. My student loans are pretty hefty.
Okay. Does that incorporate with your stress level and anxiety?
Well, going into the program, I knew I was going to be knew I was going to be $250,000 in debt by the end of it. So, I mean, no one wants to really think about how they're going to be in $250,000 worth of debt when they graduate. And when I first started, it kind of added a lot to it, but you just kind of learn that everyone else is in the same boat, and it's just not something you can like dwell on, because it'll drive you crazy, because failure is not really an option for us at this point.
Okay. And so you seem like a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I notice your necklace.
Yeah, crystal. It's a clear quartz.
What's that?
Clear quartz holds onto specific kind of energies or something that you want it to. And so I've been working with this one. It kind of helps keep me calmer and tries to help me hold on to that grounding state I was telling you about earlier.
Okay. And you have noticed quite improvement with that?
A little bit. It definitely keeps me calmer, and that helps a lot.
Okay, so from our session, I have taken that it does seem like you are very stressed with school, but your family does stress you out just a little bit with your parents. You are close with your siblings. You've always enjoyed the field of chiropractics, so it seems like you enjoy what you do. It's just a stressful process at the moment. You're taking a lot of classes right now. You are living with other people that you enjoy. The dogs are a bit frustrating, but they're understanding. Your roommates are understanding. And then for your hobbies, so what I want to do with your goal is, you said you like to hike and work out. So do you think attainable goal would to hike before or after your classes?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and what is your schedule like this semester for your classes?
I'm pretty much 7 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night every day.
Okay, and have you hiked at night before?
Yeah, sometimes when I have to.
Okay, so do you think you could hike after class? And how long do you usually hike for?
Just depends on what trail I'm on. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, so it's usually like 20 minutes to 3 hours.
Okay, so what I think we should do for you is, do you have a car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and how far away is the hiking trail?
They're like different. Some of them are pretty close, some of them are pretty far away. I live like 15 miles outside of the city of Atlanta, so traffic is pretty intense. So there's really kind of no guessing how long it's going to take to get to which part.
Okay, so what time do you usually get home from class?
It takes me about 45 minutes to get home, so I usually get home around 7.
Okay, and then do you like to eat dinner after, like, when you get home?
Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. Sometimes when I get home, I go right to the gym. and then I'll eat after that. Or if I work out in the morning, I'll just kind of putz with some homework and try to figure out what I want to eat. And then, but usually, like, consistently, I eat from like 8 to 9 o'clock, so not really right when I get home, but relatively soon around then.
Okay, so maybe what we can do for your goal is for you to work out after classes for at least an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how often do you work out a week?
I try to work out every day, about 5 to 6 times a week.
Okay, so let's work out Monday through Friday. Does that
Mm-hmm.
sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Monday through Friday, and then you said you get home about 7, so from at least 7 to 8, try to work out, like I said, Monday through Friday, and we'll try that for a month. Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see what the outcomes are, and then I like to have objectives with our goals. So do you have all the equipment that you need to work out with?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you like to drink pre-workout or like protein shakes?
Yeah, I usually do pre-workout and creatine before, and then a protein shake after.
Okay. So how about an objective for working out is to buy, like, spoil yourself a little bit, buy a new protein powder, see if that works,
Mm-hmm.
and then try that, see if that works, and then if you like that, we'll continue with it. Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then on our way out, we will schedule your next session for the next week, and then we'll have weekly sessions. Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see if that helps with your anxiety. And then hopefully in a month from now, we'll see some progress. Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. And then this sounds good. So I will write out your goal for you, and then we'll see how you feel next week when I see you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for meeting with me.
Thank you for seeing me.
Of course. Okay. Have a nice day.
You too.
Oh, fuck it.